oh sorry, did I say 98? Open up to 50. I'm going to move that. So we're talking about proving lines are parallel, because I'm going to use this page where we write in our planners to give you just a little heads up and tie it into what we talked about last week. Guys, last week we talked about if lines are parallel, we know stuff. So it's still conditional statement, still if then. So if we know, if two lines are parallel, then what happens with alternate interior angles? Do you remember? Alternate interior angles will be, do you remember? Are congruent. Yes? Yeah. Well, we can replace that. If two lines are parallel, then exterior angles are congruent, right? Alternate exterior angles are congruent. Or we could say if two lines are parallel, then corresponding angles are congruent. Do you agree with me? Or we could say if two lines are parallel, then consecutive interior are, do you remember? Supplementary. Yes, so we started with them parallel, and then we ended it with this is what happens to angles. So what we're doing today is only saying if alternate interior angles are congruent. So start with that, then what can we say about those lines? Then they're parallel. Do you see that? Then the lines are parallel. Thumbs up. Do you see how it's the exact same lesson, only just backwards? Okay, do you remember, oh shoot, I should have left the other one up there. Do you remember which one it is when you do the sentence perfectly backwards, the conditional statement? Is the inverse, converse, or contrapositive? Converse, guess what? That's the one word you have to add to today's lesson. Whenever you use something, you just put on converse. Alternate angles, converse. If you start with a picture that's saying something about the angles, and then you're saying after that lines are parallel, you just throw on a converse. I'll walk you through this. So very first is, there we go, saying check out your picture. It's saying if you know that this angle is congruent to this angle, then those two lines are parallel. Circle that. It's all right there in your notes for you. Start with the angles are congruent, then it's parallel. Guys, draw a big, huge arrow to this. This is the corresponding angles. Converse. All you have to add on is the converse. If you start with the angles and then talk about the lines are parallel, it's the converse. Okay, let's do the same thing for the alternate interior angles. So right here, highlight this. If you know that these two angles are congruent, that will force the lines to be parallel. And then draw a huge arrow to this, because that's the converse. That's alternate interior angles converse. You're saying if you know those two are equal, those lines have to be parallel. They'll be forced to be parallel. Okay, moving on to the next part. This one, not exactly the same. This one is consecutive interior. What has to happen to consecutive interior angles, guys? They have to be what word? Supplementary. So these ones, add them together, they equal 180. If that's true, you can say those lines are parallel. So this, again, we're emphasizing the converse today. Consecutive interior angles, converse. Okay, last one, alternate exterior. If you solve and you see that these two are equal, then you can say those lines are parallel. Again, that's alternate exterior angles, converse. Okay, so we're done with page 58 of our notes. Top of page 59 is a proof. Guys, be really nice to yourself on this proof. Let's use it to our advantage. So prove the converse. Okay. Here one, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. How come? What's your reason? It's actually given. Given would be best. Oh. Right there, yeah? So let's put given. Totally fine. Alright, next part. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. Stop. Be nice to yourself. Look at the picture. What kind of angles are they, guys? Vertical angles. It technically is a theorem, or you can even put postulate. If you just put vertical angles, I'm okay with that. Always default to the pictures. Okay, so they're vertical angles, so they have to be congruent. Well, your hint on number 3, the reason is transitive property. Transitive property is that property where you take something out because they both equal it. So look at number 1, look at number 2. What do they both equal? So we can take it out. Take it out, scribble, 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 scribble. So now we can say angle 1 is congruent to angle 3 by the transitive property. Transitive, I don't know, I say stuff weird. Transitive property. Okay, now number 4. Number 4 is saying, well, if you know that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, then you can say these lines are parallel. This is what we're learning today. So stop and look at your picture, because what kind of angles, what's the relationship between 1 and 3? Tyler, what is it? They're their corresponding angles, and then what's the one more you have to add today? Converse, that's your reason. Since you're saying these lines are parallel, the reason would be corresponding angles converse. Okay, thumbs up. How many of you? I think I got that proof. Did that make sense to you? Let me see. Yeah, we did. Okay, let's go to the next part. Next part is solving using algebra. Ali, question?
So couldn't you just solve the proof by saying alternate, exterior, converse?
Yeah, that'd be okay. We're just showing every single step. Okay, so here we go. This one, let's read our directions. Find the value of x that makes P parallel to Q. Oh, well, if these lines are parallel, here's what kind of angles. This one and this one, what kind of angles are they? What's the relationship? Okay, what has to happen in order for those to be parallel? What's the relationship between these? Yeah, they have to be equal. They have to be congruent. So I don't know if I'm like making you jaded, but I don't love the filling in part, right? I like to do my own thing. So I would just set it up. So 6x plus 34 equals 9x minus 2. Alternating angles have to be congruent if those lines are parallel, so then you just solve it using your algebra skills. Kevin, what would you do first on this one? Sure. Okay, let's subtract 6x, 600. So that would be 34 equals 3x minus 2. Okay, Maddie, what would you do next?
I would add 2.
Perfect, thanks, Maddie. Add 2, add 2. So then we're left with 36 equals 3x. Okay, Desi, what would you do last?
Divide by 3.
Nice, divide by 3, divide by 3. Final answer, x equals 12. How many of you got the same thing? Yeah? We did lots of this last week, right? With the snake activity, solve, solve, solve. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, these ones, guys, I think you got it. Let's give yourselves a little bit of a clue. Number one, what kind of angles are these? Perfect. Alternate exterior. What has to be true if those lines are parallel? They're congruent. Make them equal. So there's your hint. Okay, number two, what kind of angles are those ones? Ooh, consecutive interior. What has to be true about these ones? Yes, they're supplementary. Okay, there's your hint. I want you to try this on your own. Go. Okay, let's do this one together. So alternate exterior angles congruent. That'd be 3x plus 20 equals 5x. Okay, let's go with Dizzy again. Dizzy, what would you do first on this one?
I would minus 3x.
Nice. So subtract 3x. Subtract 3x. I think this will come out pretty nice, yeah? So this will be what? 20 equals 2x? Guys, shout it out. What would you do last? And what's your final answer?
X equals 10.
How many of you got x equals 10? Good job, good job. Okay, this one, be careful. Be careful. Add them together, set them equal to 180, right? So 13x plus 15 plus 20x equals 180. I always get nervous when there's a 13 in there. Does this come out as a whole number when you finish it?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's solve it. So 13x is 20x. I'm just simplifying. That's 33x plus 15 equals 180. Subtract 15 from both sides. Don't you get 33x equals 165?
Yeah.
So when you divide by 33, it comes out nice? What is it? Oh, convenient. How many of you got x equals 5? Good job, good job. Okay, let's go to the next part. Okay, this one, let's skip this example in your notes. This one, because it's the same stuff. It's all about using what you know and drawing on the pictures. I keep telling you, draw on these pictures, makes them more obvious. So I've got to read the directions. So it says, checkpoint, decide whether ray BA is parallel to ray DE, stop. This is where I would draw my picture. So is this parallel to this? Oh, I don't know. And this would be your transversal? Okay. I don't know why, but I need to like emphasize stuff in order to see it. So here we go. Looks like we're looking at this angle. What if we put it all together? Are you okay with that? And then this angle? Oh. What kind of angles would those be if they're parallel? Yeah, same side interior or consecutive interior. So doesn't that mean they have to be supplementary? So let's see. Since this is explained, you've got to put consecutive interior angles converse. That's what we're checking, that's the explain. So on your assignment today, when it says explain, just tell me which converse you're using. So we're just seeing, does 90 plus 45 plus 45 equal 80? I don't know, what do you think? Sure, there you go. Just put yes. So again, on tonight's assignment, make sure you tell me what type of angles they should be. Show your work and then just yes is your final answer. Good enough? Okay, let's do the next one. Same thing, I'm going to draw on it and emphasize it. So we're checking, is ray BA, oh this one, parallel to DE this one. So here's our transversal. Okay. Again, don't be afraid to put stuff together. So I'm going to put these two together compared to this one. Ah, okay, what kind of angles are those ones? Can you see it? Good job. So those are alternate exterior. So let's put alternate exterior angles converse for our explanation. Okay, what has to be true about alternate exterior angles? They have to be equal. So you just have to check. Does 71 plus 34 equal 105? Check. So then you can just put yes for your final answer. Just make sure you have a reason to back it up. Is that it for our notes?